All right, we're going to get started in about 30 seconds or so. Just give a little bit more time for other colleagues to join us, and we'll get started. All right, we'll go ahead and welcome everyone. Hello, and welcome to another session of the Virtual Global Spine Conference. My name is Ali Baaj. It's nice to see our participants today joining us, and also hello to the many others who will be seeing this video later on. As a lot of you know who follow us, we tend to delve into topics that are very spine surgery, ortho spine, neurospine related, and a lot of times it's technical and clinical. Once in a while, we change things up a little bit and we talk about other things, socioeconomics. We talk about non-operative therapy. We talk about publishing. We talk about other things that our audience may find valuable. And what I thought we would do today, just really coming off a very successful AANS meeting last month in Boston, I thought it'd be a great idea to talk about really an area that I think is, as we all know, is quickly becoming more important as we're all seeing the challenges in funding and research, on a national level. And this is something that's just so important to all of us, not just in spine surgery, but of course in neurosurgery. I'm sure it's important also in ortho. But today I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming colleagues from the NREF, which is the Neurosurgery Research and Education Foundation. It's the philanthropic arm, basically, of the AANS. And it's an entity that I was involved in a while back, really first as a resident, because I used to attend some of the great courses that they had, and then more recently as faculty, also in the wonderful resident workshops that they run, and then most recently, actually, also as a donor and as somebody who wanted to be involved more with the philanthropic initiatives and see how we can really open up doors to residents, other physicians, particularly from outside of the U.S., who are interested in coming to the U.S. for courses and classes and research initiatives. So I thought it would be a really great organization to partner with and leverage certainly my network, my colleagues' network to basically improve access to these folks who otherwise really have minimal resources or minimal opportunities to come into the U.S. to do this. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce and let the experts speak about the NREF, and I'll ask some questions here and there that hopefully will help the audience. But we're happy to have Courtney Shupryt and Joanne Bonaminio from the NREF, and welcome to our program. And we're excited to hear what you offer and what you have to teach us about the NREF.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for having us. We do have some slides to guide our presentation today. Thank you, Joanne. And there we go.
Okay.
Okay, great. We are live. First, Joanne and I, just on behalf of the NREF and the AANS, we want to thank Dr. Baaj for this opportunity to discuss a little bit about what we do on the philanthropic side of neurosurgery as a part of this organization. Joanne, can you just pause the slide for a second?
Sure.
You're just on a loop. Thank you. So, like Dr. Baaj mentioned, philanthropy is based on a mission, and the NREF is no different from that. Our mission truly is to educate and provide resources to neurosurgeons at all stages of their career. Since its inception, the NREF has invested $32 million in the future of neurosurgery, and that's across all specialties. So we provide education courses. Dr. Baaj mentioned now he's faculty for those. We also provide a slew of clinical fellowship grants, opportunities for med student research, but that's really only part of the story. We are so grateful for the generosity of our members and corporate partners who are like-minded in seeing this mission through. And that 32 million has actually led to an incredible return on investment. We have found that since that $32 million was invested over time, that everybody who receives a grant goes on to receive more funding throughout their career. For example, 30% of the grant recipients to date have resulted in $353 million in NIH funding. And then when we include funding outside of the NIH, we have found that 84% of our awardees have gone on to receive almost $700 million in funding throughout their careers. So when you calculate it down, every dollar that the NREF fundraises for and then goes and gives out, that investment is a return of $160 per dollar invested. And so when you give to the NREF and when the NREF becomes that grant making entity, we've seen these results through the span of a neurosurgeon's career across all specialties. And so we're really, really grateful to be putting our arms around this mission and supporting neurosurgery in the way that we are. And now I am going to pass it on to my colleague, Joanne Bonaminio, who has been with the NREF for about 10 years now, to talk about how we celebrate, honor, and steward our donors and celebrate neurosurgery in general. So Joanne, take it away.
Thank you very much, Courtney. Again, I'm Joanne Bonaminio. I'm the Director of Foundation Services for the NREF. I've been with NREF since October of 2015. I've touched every aspect of the foundation, from individual giving to our grants and fellowship programs to being a part of our Honor Your Mentor Fund program, as well as our resident courses. One of the most rewarding aspects of working at the foundation has been working with our donors. The Cushing Circle of Giving is an organization that was a giving society that was launched in 2008 to recognize those individuals that had really made a commitment to moving neurosurgery forward. The Cushing Circle of Giving represents over $10 million in cumulative donations that have been made by both individual donors and organizations. An individual can become a part of the Cushing Circle with either a pledge of $25,000 or through their lifetime giving. The pledge can be fulfilled either as a lump sum payment or through a series of installments spread out over several years. The Honor Your Mentor Funds launched shortly before I started at the NREF. These funds were designed to really approach those areas that our traditional programs through the NREF wasn't funding. NREF was funding research grants, clinical fellowships, the resident courses, medical student summer research fellowships. The Honor Your Mentor Funds take a very, very focused, more targeted approach to research projects and initiatives either within a section or within an institution, so they can really target their award disbursements very strategically. In 2014, there were 6 funds. Today, we have 83. The pledges total over $8.7 million from nearly 3,000 donors. Within the realm of spine, there are 21 different Honor Your Mentor funds that are specifically focused on the spine section, and you can see them listed here. The spine section funds have made over $400,000 in disbursements since 2014. And the spine section funds have over $2 million in pledges. So they've funded international scholars to attend the Spine Summit. They've funded cervical QOD studies through NPA. They've funded research grants through the Sanford Larson Honor Your Mentor Fund. And beginning in 2026, the Kevin Foley Fund will begin making disbursements. So we're really delighted to have the support of the spine section and the many spine surgeons that are members of the AANS who have really pushed forward these initiatives through the NREF. One of the great things about the NREF is that as a donor, you really have the option to target your donation to those areas that you're really passionate about. As Dr. Baaj mentioned earlier, he started a fund last fall, and his fund is going to help individuals with tuition support to attend the Goodman course. So we think that's really an exciting opportunity for individuals who are looking for help in that area. Individuals can also donate to NREF, to our area of greatest need. Those funds directly support our research grants and our medical student summer research fellowships. You can also donate to an education fund, and those funds help support not just our courses, but any other educational initiatives, whether it's a webinar program, such as we did with the Young Neurosurgeons Committee several years ago, or with the Chuck Knoll Foundation in the area of neurotrauma. I'd like to talk a little bit now about our education courses. This year, we will have 4 courses, 2 in spine and 2 in vascular. These courses are available by invitation only. About 16 weeks prior to the start date of the course, we send out an email to program directors, department chairs, and coordinators soliciting nominations from promising residents and fellows to be invited to the course. The course directors review the list of nominations, and they select anywhere from 20 to 30 residents, depending on the particular venue where we're going to be doing the course, to attend this weekend course. Once someone has been selected to attend a resident course, it's all expenses paid. We cover travel, housing, meals, incidentals, and any course materials that are necessary as well. So now I'm going to hand it back off to Courtney to talk a little bit about how you can participate as a donor.
Thanks, Joanne. So ultimately, and Dr. Baaj alluded to this earlier, we're in a time where giving back it's going to matter very, very much. And giving back and philanthropy in general is in time, talent, and treasure. It's kind of what we say when we work for nonprofits. I know a lot of you give your time and your talent to your profession every single day. And so we just wanted to showcase exactly one-time cash gifts to any of the programs that Joanne just mentioned. All of this information is here and can be found on our website. And then there's also more creative ways of giving as well. So there are plan giving opportunities where you can consider a bequest, a charitable gift annuity, a stock transfer, or a book or product royalty. There's tax incentives with all of these involved. Donor advised funds is a very popular way to give now. It creates an ease for the donor to work with a financial advisor to plan out their giving disbursements throughout the year. And that's merely a conversation with somebody. And we have these listed here. The big ones are Fidelity, Vanguard, and Schwab. And that's a very basic conversation that puts a financial advisor kind of at the helm of giving back. And then, of course, we never want to, have somebody who's meant somebody to us be lost in our lives. But there's, of course, a way to memorialize those who have meant the most to you as well. So ultimately, at the end of the day, if anybody is interested in learning anything more about what the NREF does, how it functions within the AANS. We are open to having those conversations. We are led by some giants of neurosurgery, and we would have them join those conversations. Dr. Adam Arthur out of Memphis is our NREF board chair. Dr. Mike Wang is our vice chair, and then Dr. Praveen Momnini is our development committee chair. And so we would welcome any kind of additional information to have a meeting with any of us to be able to support what your philanthropic appetite might be in this case. So once again, of course, there is more information on our website. Dr. Baaj can pass along our contact information to this group, and we're just very, very grateful for the opportunity to share a little bit more about how the AANS in partnership with the NREF gives back all the time. So thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Let's go back to, can we go back to that with slides for a second?
Oh, sure.
We chat a little bit and just kind of some questions and answers. That way our team can also take some screenshots and send them over to our social media audience. I think the second to last, or maybe a couple, maybe one more. There was one where you just had a lot. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. That way people can see that and take pictures and all of that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it, Courtney and Joanne. So a couple of questions. Obviously this is really important work. It's the number of people that are interested in neurosurgery, especially those that again want to come to do courses and want to come and do research in the U.S. Either within the U.S. or outside of the U.S. is really expanding, which is great. So we, as faculty, we always get a lot of requests from, for example, let's talk about international fellows, right? So international students or in some cases, really neurosurgeons early on in their career that want to come to the U.S., say for 1 year, they need funding. That's been really, really hard in the last few years from a lot of our institutions to support those candidates. To be honest with you, that's why I started that particular Honor Your Mentor Fund. But putting that on the side, because I know we're still working on expanding contributions to that, what is the mechanism today? If somebody emails me and from another country and says, Dr. Baaj, I would like to come and do neurosurgery research in the US for 1 year. Is there a mechanism for me to say, hey, you know what, why don't you go to the website, apply, and see what happens? Is that the best way to go about it? Do you all already have research funding opportunities for those folks to apply for? Does that make sense? I'm sorry if I'm not asking the right question, Joanne.
No, you're asking it correctly, and I misspoke earlier on the purpose of your fund. Your fund is to bring international trainees to the U.S. I was looking at the wrong line.
That's okay.
On my chart. We currently do not have a mechanism for international trainees, whether they're medical students or residents, to come to the U.S. But that is a top priority within the NREF because it is the #1 question we get at the annual meeting. If you stand in the NREF booth, it won't take long for someone to come to the booth they know they come to the AANS and they ask that question. So that is definitely a priority for us. For candidates from Canada and Mexico, they are eligible for our medical student summer research fellowships and for our research grants and young clinician investigator awards. But we currently don't have any other programs, with the exception of the Chris Shaffrey Fund. The Chris Shaffrey Fund brings an international scholar to the Spine Summit. So it's a bit more limited in terms of its attendance at a single event. It's not a longer term scholarship, if you will, but it is an opportunity to come to the U.S. But both the global committee for the AANS and for the NREF, we are looking for those opportunities and to work with our fund managers who also have an interest in supporting either international trainees to come here or to support those trainees in underserved areas of the world with grants. Currently, the only fund that is supporting a neurosurgeon abroad is the Albright Honor Your Mentor Fund that is supporting a neurosurgeon in Kenya currently.
Got it. Okay, well, yeah, no, that's great. That's exactly why we're doing this, right? We're doing this exactly to just bring more awareness to this very important topic. You know, this program that you're seeing now that we're all on is a virtual global spine conference is really a project that we started years ago during the pandemic to really to touch, you know, and bring access to a lot of folks anywhere in the world to these spine programs. So I know that I personally will do my best, and I know a lot of my colleagues will do the same to try to see how we can support you for a lot of reasons, but certainly one that we're all passionate about is again all of these international folks who would love to have an opportunity to get funding to come to the U.S. So we'll continue work with that. A follow-up question, if I may, another very common question that we have, you know, in my position, so I'm transitioning from Arizona to Chicago. I'll be joining Northwestern, and one thing that already has come up because our industry colleagues have contacted me about, as you can imagine, the industry relation with NREF. As we are trying to secure, and I'll speak about spine, as we're trying to secure funding for clinical fellows, I know that that there's a pathway through the NREF to support clinical fellows. A lot of that is supported by industry. Can you shed some light on that as well, about how that process works? Let's say I'm looking for funding for a clinical spine fellow, and then next year or two or three, what is the pathway through the NREF where we can try to obtain support that is industry sponsored, but through the NREF?
The application for an NREF clinical fellowship grant opens on September 1st, and the deadline to submit your application for clinical fellowship grant funding is November 1st. And that's all through the NREF online portal. We would send out an announcement via email, via our newsletter, via the website when the application is open. At the same time that we're taking applications in, our industry relations team is working with industry to secure funding, not just for spine fellowships, but we're hoping to broaden support into the other subspecialties as well. The bulk of the funding that we receive today is for spine fellowships from industry. Some of those, then once the application is submitted, there is roughly a 2-month review period where experts from the spine section review all of the applications. And then once the application review process has been completed, then the award announcements are made. This year, because of the volume of applications that we had, The review process took a little bit longer than we would have liked, but the award announcements have been made, and the grant agreements are out. I'm happy to report that we're funding 28 clinical fellowships for the 2025-26 academic year. So, and it's, I believe, $1.8 million in industry support.
Wow, that's excellent. That's really great news. So 28 clinical fellows, that's spine and non-spine, correct? That's
Correct.
total.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry to put you on the spot, but do you have a rough idea of what percentage of applicants you are able to fund? How many people apply, for example?
We had 46 applications and we're funding 28.
Wow, that's more than 50%, if my math is right. That's really good. That's probably among the highest rate that I know of. I work with other organizations, so that's a really good that's a really good number.
We're especially pleased that for a while there we weren't getting funding in non-spine subspecialties. So this year we'll have fellowships in cerebrovascular and tumor. So it's been a very rewarding year.
Excellent. Well, that's great. So I could, and correct me if I'm wrong, but perhaps another way we can contribute is by asking our industry colleagues directly to support the NREF Clinical Fellowship Program, which obviously benefits fellows, it benefits spine programs. So it's all kind of related, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great, wonderful. Well, I think this was really helpful. We don't want to keep people up too late here. I know on the East Coast, and it's getting late, and even later. Although Dr. Selby is with us, Mike Selby, he's in Australia. It's probably the morning there, right, Mike? He's one of our faculty of this program, and so that's been really helpful. Really appreciate both Courtney and Joanne coming and shedding some light on the NREF. I know a lot of us would like to get more involved, and we'll certainly do our part to disseminate a lot of this information with our audience, both here in the U.S. and outside of the U.S. I'm always amazed by, you know, I tell people this all the time. I'm always amazed by how many people really want to help. It's just, you just have to ask them. Like, they don't know, you know, they don't know if they don't know, right? And there are a lot of really colleagues, even outside of the U.S., who would love to help these initiatives, especially if it involves helping some of their kind of colleagues in their country or in their region benefit from this. So overall, I think we really all need to do a better job to bring awareness to this great work, and the timing has never really been better, as unfortunately other sources are dwindling, and there's been a little bit of you know, some of that going on. we'll leave that alone. But perfect. Any last comment, Courtney or Joanne? I'll leave you to give us the final word.
I mean, ultimately, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that, you know, the NREF has grown so much since its inception. And I think that the opportunity, based on, you know, the current factors that we have, as well as more energy around what the NREF does, just presents a lot of opportunity for further growth. This webinar and the fact that you're a champion for this kind of work is only going to help us get there. So we're very grateful to be able to speak about it, because the sky's the limit at this point for us.
Wonderful, perfect. Well, thanks so much. Of course, as a neurosurgeon here in the U.S., I'd be remiss not to mention that our other major organization, the Congress of Neurological Surgery, also has a wonderful foundation, and I'm not as familiar with the intricacies, if you will, but I know that they do a great job, and they also sponsor a lot of folks and fellows. So in fairness to everybody, the CNS also does a wonderful job with this. But we're looking forward to promoting both and to supporting both, and I think the more the merrier here, and so I'm really excited to continue our collaboration, and thank you both for coming along, for coming on our session today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Of
you.
course. Thanks everyone. Have a great evening, and we'll see everybody next week back on the virtual spine program. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.